Hey guys, it's Jennifer. Just wanted to come into the community today and say hi and see what's going on. See how many of you guys are feeling a little bit overwhelmed. It seems the energy today is just a little bit overwhelming, a little bit off kilter maybe. Things may not be going as you planned today. Things might be a little bit wonky. It might just feel overwhelming. There can be all these different things that are going on today. But this morning, I was going through some of my own stuff. You know, I journal. I use my own journal every day. So just so you guys, hey Andrea, just so you guys know, I do the work that I teach people to do because it's so important. And the thing, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and she's like, everything's just off, and I don't know. And I thought, it comes back to what I talk about all the time. And even for me, I'm like, even what I want, like maybe I wasn't being completely honest and transparent with myself, even about what it is I actually want. So I was thinking about it today. Today, the day is the energy, for whatever reason, is a little bit overwhelming. So if you're feeling that, know that it's okay. Also know that we're human. We're going to have days like that. And again, it's okay to have days like that. It doesn't mean that your whole world's going to fall off. It doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen. It doesn't mean that you're totally off track on your goals. It just means that we're having a funky day. Like, it's okay. The other thing is, if you're not exactly where you want to be right now in your life, where are you not allowing yourself to be honest about what you truly want? And have you actually written down and taken steps to see what you really want? Like a lot of times it's just about being, it's like saying, okay, yeah, this is what I want, but you're doing it within limits or within what you think you can have, instead of just all out doing and saying what you want. So if you haven't actually sat down and wrote out a list and decided what you want in life, like this is November, right? We're almost halfway through November. Next year is going to be a totally different energy year, because this was a 1 year. It's all about, starting things out. Everything's new. Next year is going to be a lot more about like actually building the foundation of what you wanted from this year. So you still have time in the next couple months to really get clear on what it is you want, but you have to be brave enough to say what that is, right? So I see there's a couple people watching. If anybody wants to join in, let me know. If you're watching the replay, if you're not catching this live, join the Embodied Grace community. It's a Facebook group. I'll put the link underneath this so that you can join it, and we will discuss it. If anybody's brave enough, we'll discuss it in the comments and keep this going this week, because I feel like this is going to be a really good week to really getting clear. And if you don't have the life you want right now, it's because either A, you're not brave enough to say what you really truly want, because you think you can't have it for what some other, whatever the reason is, or you just are not aware of what's holding you back. And I'll tell you, the only thing that holds you back is you. It's not your fault. It's not even that you know that you're doing it. It's just that when you say that you have goals, or you say that you want things, either you're not being 100% honest with what you truly want, or you don't see the limiting beliefs that are tying you back to what you think you can have. So it's huge when it comes to that. Even, like I said, even with my own self, the things that I say I want, I've actually, the last few years, my life is totally different than it ever has been. It's all because of the way that I think, right? It literally, like, that is the first step to anything that you want to create, that you want to make different, anything that you want to have in your life, anything that you want more of or better than, like any of that kind of stuff, literally you have to create it in your mind first. So I think that's why I always focus on what are you thinking, like why that's so important, because you have to be in that space. You have to say, this is what I want. And then you have to look at it and say, okay, this is what I want. Why don't I have it? Right? So if that's the case, and if that's where you're at, like, be brave enough to say, what is it that you want? It doesn't always turn out the way that you might think it look or should look. So allow yourself to say, this is what I want. And now what do I do, right? So be clear. First of all, be brave enough to say what you really, really want. And try to catch yourself and see where you're at, that you're limiting yourself before anything can even happen, right? Because we have this thing built into us that we can have anything we want, right? When we're little, we tell everybody, oh, you can grow up to be whatever you want. And then as they grow up, it's like life is, well, only if you can have this much money, or only if you do that, or only if you do this. No, you've got to get rid of all of that stuff, and you've got to know that everything starts in your mind and what you think you can have. Everything, you guys, like everything that you create, everything that you have in your life is all about what you believe that you can have for yourself. So, somebody just said deep work. Definitely. You've got to look at the deep, it's got to be the underlying thing. And, like saying what you want is great, but like even I was holding myself back of what I truly wanted. So this morning, today's a powerful day for it. I don't know what's going on in the energy, or what, you know, what's going on with the planets or whatever, but like sit down and don't filter anything and just literally write down everything you want. And don't think only if I can have it. Like, think, what do you really, really, really want? I really want more freedom. You know, and my husband and I have made a bunch of changes over even in the last year, but especially in the last 5 years, to totally transform just our daily life, right? Like I just booked a little mini vacation. We're going to go to a friend's wedding, booked it, got the tickets, got the hotel, booked it all. About 5 years ago, I probably would have been a friggin' mess. I would have been anxiety ridden. I'd have been wondering how we were going to afford it, all those kind of things. Like the only thing that shifted is my mind, the way that I think about it. Because realistically, you know, financially we're a little bit better, but it's not that far off of where we were before. It's just that my own thinking kept our money small. On paper, it's really not even that much of a difference. It's literally the energy behind it, the way I think about it, and the fears that I don't have anymore because I've learned how to like combat those fears. And I don't want you to go in thinking that it's a struggle and it's hard. I mean, it is sometimes hard, and it feels like a struggle when you're going through that, because you've got to be so honest about what your feelings really are, and you've got to be honest about what limitations that you've got. They aren't even probably from you. It's probably things that you grew up thinking, right? Because I grew up with the lack mentality. I grew up, you know, as long as we have enough money for milk. I grew up with, you know, nobody has any money. All of those things were ingrained in me. Like I had to choose to be like, wait, why? God tells me I can have anything I want. God tells me that there are riches that, you know, everything is here for us. If the birds in the air don't have to worry, why should we worry? So why are we limiting ourselves, and why are we being small, and why are we not living a life of fun and freedom when we can have it? We've just got to get our mind right. We've got to get our mind in line with the thinking. We've got to be aware of what we're thinking. We've got to know, like, we've got to know when we have these thoughts, where is that like negative thing coming from? What limiting belief is there? Because if you don't have what you want right now, I can guarantee you it's because either A, you're not allowing yourself to have it, or B, your thinking is getting in the way. Like literally it comes down to that simple. Freedom, no limitations, peace, calm, and joy. Those are all fantastic things. And then the interesting thing was too, I decided to go ahead and pull a card because all of this stuff was really kind of hitting me hard this morning. I apologize. Sorry. I don't know where the mute button is on this one, so I don't know how to mute it. But anyway, the interesting thing was I thought, you know, I'm going to pull a card to see if there's any other message. I kid you not. The same message is what I pulled in this card today. So I'm using Colette Baron Reed's cards. It's called the Enchanted Map. I love these cards. The one I pulled is coming apart. But the interesting thing is, when I saw that today, it's not about coming apart. Like it could be like relationships or things like that, but sometimes things kind of have to fall apart, so to speak, to really see what you want, right? You've got to be like, oh, I don't want that anymore, so that you know to let go of it so that you can move into the new. So it was interesting after I pulled it, and I don't know this deck very good yet. It's still pretty new. But it says this card is a sign to put to an end what is no longer working for you. You know, these limiting thoughts, this limiting beliefs, these limiting lack mentality, this is not working anymore. If you want a life that you love, if you want to create the life you love, right? Like I say in my book, if you want to create a life you love, you've got to start with what isn't working for you. Negative thoughts, limiting beliefs are not working. You're never going to get the life you want if you hold on to those beliefs. And you guys, not judging anybody, believe me, because I've been there and I've had some of the stupidest beliefs. Like once I looked at it, I was like, why would I believe that? Why would I believe that it's only okay to have enough for milk when I really would rather have enough money to do whatever I wanted, right? It says sometimes you need to break a promise or change course. I don't think this has to do with anything in relationships. I think it's a relationship and a promise you've made yourself. Maybe it's time for a new promise. Maybe it's time to not live in safety and what you know anymore. Maybe it's time to go out on that limb and like really start creating something new. Maybe it's time to look at that. It's a perfect time to reassess your goals and values. Are your actions in alignment with what you believe? Right? So, again, it talks a little bit about like a relationship breakaway, but I don't feel like that's what this means today. I feel like this is really about breaking away from your own limiting thinking, breaking away from the thoughts that you have that are holding you back, and being honest about it. Like, that is the biggest thing, you guys. If I can tell you anything, it's really about getting honest with yourself. It's not about being vulnerable to anybody else. It's about being vulnerable for yourself. What is it that you really want? How do you redirect your thinking so that you can align with that? And then what do you do to take the divine, divinely inspired action steps? Because once you get clear on what you want to do, the action steps are going to kind of fall in place for you. So once you're in alignment with that, that'll happen. Again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you don't know how to come up, oh, somebody else pulled the card with the same message. So it's totally in line with what's going on today then. So thank you for that, Nicole. I really appreciate you saying that, because that's what it feels like today. Like, even the conversation I had earlier, like I said with my friend, it was the same kind of conversation. So that's why I knew I had to do a video on this today. But anyway, if you guys need help getting clear on what you want, because sometimes we're like, I don't even know what I want. I just know I don't want this anymore, right? And that's okay too. Like, sometimes you've got to look at what you don't want. And I talk about that in my book as well. Like, what is it that you don't want? Once you know what you don't want, then you can fix it and tweak it into what you do want. But I'm daring you to be brave enough to say what you really want in your life. And I'm daring you to be brave enough and bold enough just for yourself. You don't have to go scream it to the world. You don't have to tell anybody else what you're doing. But just be brave enough for yourself to say, this is what I want, and this is what I want my life to look like, and this is how I want to feel. And once you can get all of those things in there, then you can start being like, why don't I have this already? Right? If that's what you really, really want, why don't you have it already? Well, then you've got to look at, where are you telling yourself you can't have it? Because that's what it comes down to. It's your own limiting beliefs and you telling yourself that you can't have it, because I'm telling you, you can have it. You can have anything you want if you just get in alignment with it, if you allow yourself to believe it, if you allow yourself to believe that you're worthy enough to receive it. So you've got to know what you want, you've got to ask for it, you've got to believe it, and then you've got to be willing to receive it, right? So anyway, that's it for today. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. Again, if you're not catching it live, if you're catching it on the replay, please be involved, ask questions. I'm happy to help you guys figure it out. If you have something where you're like, this is what's going on, I don't know why I'm not getting it, let's just talk about it. Just put it in the comments. We'll talk about it, because sometimes just having somebody else look at it, maybe I can see something that you're not seeing yourself, right? That's the whole power of community. So anyway, happy Monday. Have a great day, guys, and I will talk to you soon.